Hi guys, this is your girl Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. We are currently going through the book of 1 Samuel. We're doing this chapter by chapter. And it will be nice for you to listen to the end because I will be sharing my key takeouts from the chapter, which we will be reading today at the end of this recording. Also, remember to subscribe, to share this with someone else, and to click the notification bell so that you never miss any new recording. So we're in the book of 1 Samuel, and today we're going to be covering chapter 22. So this chapter has like two stories in it. So I'm going to divide it into two parts. And today we are going to be reading from verse 1 all the way to verse 10. And then tomorrow we're going to be reading from verse 11 all the way to verse 23. It's not really a long chapter, but it has two stories, and I would like us to focus on them separately. All right, so let's get into that. I'll be reading from the NLT version, which is a New Living Translation. So follow through and let us see what the Bible tells us today. All right, so remember that David is still fleeing. He has acquired a sword, the sword that belonged to Goliath. I'm imagining how heavy that thing is. And he has gotten some bread and he's still running, like he's still fleeing. So David left Gath. You guys remember Gath? Gath is where there was a king, King Achish of Gath. That's where he left. So he left there and escaped to the cave of Adullam. So this guy now has gone to living in caves. Oh yeah, David. Soon, his brothers and all other relatives joined him there. Oh, this is cool. His brothers have come. This is really nice. And all his other relatives joined him there. Then others began coming. Men who were in trouble or in debt or who were just discontented, until David was the captain of about 400 men. So David has gone into a cave and his brothers have come, and then other people have come, other guys have come. And these guys are the ones that are in debt, others that are in trouble in their villages. So they're just like, wacha tukajifiche uko kwa cave na David. And then others that are just discontented in life and they're just like, okay, my life has no purpose. Can I just go and live in the caves? So they went and they became 400 men and David became their captain. Later, David went to Mizpeh in Moab, where he asked the king, please allow my father and mother to live here with you until I know what God is going to do for me. So David's parents stayed in Moab with the king during the entire time David was living in his stronghold. One day, the prophet Gad told David, leave the stronghold and return to the land of Judah. So David went to the forest of Hereth. The news of his arrival in Judah soon reached Saul. At that time, the king was seated beneath the tamarisk tree on the hill of Gibeah, holding his spear and surrounded by his officers. Listen here, you men of Benjamin, Saul shouted to his officers when he heard the news. Has that son of Jesse promised every one of you fields and vineyards? Has he promised to make you all generals and captains in his army? Is that why you have conspired against me? For not one of you told me when my son made a solemn pact with the son of Jesse. You're not even sorry for me. Think of it, my own son encouraging him to kill me, as he is trying to do this very day. Then Doeg the Edomite. You guys remember this guy? Doeg the Edomite. This is a guy that was in the same space, or rather, let me call it the temple. In the temple where David met with Ahimelech, the priest, when he was telling him, oh, I need bread. Sijui my men are where. Please give me bread. Give me a sword. This guy was there. So Doeg the Edomite was standing there with Saul's men, and he spoke up and he says, when I was at Nob, he said, I saw the son of Jesse talking to the priest, Ahimelech, son of Ahitub. Ahimelech consulted the Lord for him. Then he gave him food and the sword of Goliath the Philistine. So, snitch! Doeg the Edomite is a snitch, and he has snitched. Amesnitch sasa David ameshajulikana alikuwa huko. Alright. So let me tell you, David is still fleeing from Saul. It seems like that is all now he does. In this chapter, I would like us to take note of verse 1 and verse 2, where we see David's brothers and relatives joining him. But not just his family, but those who were in trouble, those who were in debt, those who were discontented with their lives, all of them became 400, and David became their captain. Let me tell you, the Message version of the Bible describes these men as this. It says those who are down on their luck, losers, vagrants. Those are the people that came to join David. It says, let me actually just say and then tell you what every word means. So it describes these men as those who are down on their luck, people who clearly don't seem to be lucky in life. Losers, people who are just losers. Then there are vagrants. This is a person without a settled home or regular work. So he wanders from place to place and lives by begging. Those are vagrants. Then there were people called misfits. These are people whose behavior or attitudes have set them apart from others in an uncomfortable, conspicuous way. So these are the guys that formed David's army. And I want you to remember this, because the next time you hear about these guys, they will be described in a very different way. So I want you guys to remember this. I insist that you remember this, that this group of people who came to join David were down on their luck, they were losers, they were vagrants, and they were misfits. People who had debts, people who were discontented with their lives, they felt like they didn't have a purpose, there was nothing that was working for them. These are the people that made up David's army. You see, the thing is, this group reminds me of my life in high school. In high school, we had dormitories that, of course, were built with concrete. But before the concrete dormitories were built, the students many years before me used to sleep in dormitories that were made of mabatis. Mabatis is girl sheets. And so the school had not demolished all the girl sheet dormitories. So there was one that had remained. So it was like done half with stone and then half of it was mabati. And then the school, in their wisdom, they decided to have all the crooks of the school be moved to that dorm. Like if you were to do something wrong, if you had been given like you are like a huge crook, like you are just a crook, you are moved to that dorm. That was the punishment. You're going to sleep in a dorm that is made of half stones and half mabatis. So all the girls who used to sneak from schools and go out to town in party, that dorm. All the girls that used to bully others and even fight others, that dormitory. All the girls that used to be extremely rude to others and even to teachers, that dorm. Now, the naughtiest of the naughtiest girls used to sleep in this dormitory as punishment. Now, when I was in Form 2, I was tiny but dangerous. I was rude, you guys. I was rude to my fellow students and even to the teachers. So I found myself moved to this dormitory. This dormitory had a capacity of like, let's say, how many were we? We were like 30 people in that dorm, 30 girls. The others, they were bigger dormitories. So this one was a smaller one. So it only had capacity like about 30 people in that dorm. And so because I was so rude to my fellow students and I was so rude even to teachers, I used to insult even teachers. Let me tell you guys, I've come from far. I found myself moved into this dorm. And as if that was not enough, being moved to the dorm, I was made into a dormitory prefect. In short, I was the leader of the naughtiest girls in high school. And of course, when my parents got wind of this, it just broke their hearts. After like a year being in that dormitory, it was abolished because it just made us untouchable. We became even more naughty. The system didn't work. That correction system did not work at all. It worked against the school because now we are packed of 30 people living in the same dormitory. We are known to be the naughtiest of the naughtiest in the school. So of course we are untouchable. No other prefects can come to our dorm. Even the head prefect can't come to our dorm to do what? We will beat you. We will beat you. So we were untouchable. We didn't have duties in the school. Yani, whatever system that the school thought would work by keep putting us in the same dorm didn't work. So they abolished the dorm and all of us were sent back to the dorms that we had come from. So that's David for you. He became the captain of 400 men that were down on their lucks, losers, vagrants, and misfits of all kinds. So that's the one thing I noticed in this part of this chapter. How David now has become a ruler or a captain or a leader of this army of people who are just losers, down on their luck, vagrants, and misfits of all kinds. And then his family, because now where are his family going to go? So they just better support him, because the soulmates decide to also just wipe them all out. So they're just like, okay, let's just go and be with David because soulmate decide to kill us all. But anyway, that's the thing I want you guys to just remember, so that when we get to the point where they are described again in this Bible and in this chapter, or in this book of Samuel, then you will see the difference between who they came in to the army as and who they ended up being. Anyway, that is it for me, guys. This is your girl Wakeji Kamore, and this has been Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. See you tomorrow.